I agree.
That's disrespectful to the court?
No, I don't need that terminology here.
Now, shall I proceed here? So I don't know what point we're at here, and the
We're
first
at
thing.
we're at the point as to the measurement of Mr. Simpson's hands by tape measure by Mr. Rubin. And my inclination at this point is to allow that to occur now so the prosecution can make a determination whether or not they're going to recall Mr. Rubin.
That's fine, and my only request is if we're going to do that, let's do it in the presence of the jury. I mean, obviously, I think we have a right to bring that out. So
Oh,
they can't
absolutely,
keep
sure.
this a secret, and I'm going to bring it out regardless. So if the
And
court allows me to.
Well, Mr. Cochran, what I would probably do is that I'll allow Mr. Rubin to make the measurement here today, right now, out of the presence of the jury. If you want to call him out of order as an adverse witness, since he's here from New York, I'd allow you to recall him for further cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. I think he'd appreciate it also. Well, then I'll hold off my other argument regarding whether we should have the demonstration until after they make this judgment.
All right.
And may I have a moment to talk to my client, Your Honor? I did not get a chance to. I was talking with the prosecution when he came.
Certainly. Mr. Rubin, you have your tape measure with you?
Right,
Okay.
and then I'd like also to be able to talk, our side to be able to talk to Mr. Rubin.
Sure.
After this. Thank you.
I'd like the option to sit in on that conversation.
Well, you know, we didn't sit
Counsel has no
in, didn't have the option.
objection.
We didn't have the option to sit in all their meetings, and so.
Counsel, why don't you talk
All
to your
right,
client?
certainly, Your Honor.
Have our AirTouch representative. Right. I see we've been joined by Investigator Bell.
And Investigator Stevens, Your Honor.
Yes, well, Mr. Stevens we've seen before. This is the first appearance we've seen of Mr. Bell. Also the first appearance of Miss Filippi. Good to see you again. Let me ask you this, which of the exemplar pairs of gloves are you proposing to use?
The extra large.
Which one of the four?
Oh, you want to see the pair?
No, I'm just, you're going to use one of the four that you have. Well, excuse me, one of the two.
Yes.
All right.
Although I did want to make an additional point on that issue when Mr. Cochran.
Cochran.
Yes, thank you very much for your time. Having expressed my belief that the court certainly does have the authority to do this, I have no problem with it. I just think that it should be in front of the jury, but what the court has proposed is certainly acceptable to us, that I can bring it out either on cross or make him my own witness right today because he lives in New York, and that's fine. I'll hold off the argument with regard to any demonstrations until we see what happens at this point.
All right.
If that's all right.
All right, Mr. Rubin, why don't you step forward, please?
Could we ask, Your Honor, can I just, not to shift subject, can we find out how many witnesses the prosecution has today altogether so we know where we're going today?
Ms. Clark?
I'm sorry, I don't have to whisper. I have two.
Okay, including Mr. Rubin? Are
Oh,
you
no,
done?
that's three.
Okay, so Mr. Darden has one and you have two. And who are the two? Okay, can we find who your
The
two
two,
are?
no, just what I told you before. Llewellyn Roberts and the custodian of records from the Mirage Hotel.
All right, and we're trying to work on stipulations. I'm just trying to find out the schedule.
Right.
All right.
I did not take into account the other witnesses that would be called if we don't stipulate, but I kind of think that we will.
All right, then let me ask Mr. Simpson to stand, and Mr. Rubin, would you walk over, please? and conduct your measure.
Not to chat.
Not on, this is not, part is not on the record. All right, counsel, I'm going to ask you to all be quiet while Mr. Rubin does this.
It's about, want to do the measurement?
Yes.
It's about 9 5/8 inches.
All right, that was the left hand.
I'm sorry. For the record, reflect the witness has asked Mr. Simpson to please close his fingers and relax his hand.
Yes.
Simpson has done that, Your Honor.
It's really in the area, plus or minus about 1/8 of an inch in the 9 1/2 area.
All right.
That's what it is.
All right, and that's the left hand.
Yes. That right hand should be about 9 5/8 versus
All right, 9 5/8 on the right.
9 1/2 on the left.
All right.
Which is normal.
All right.
Mr. Simpson's hand stood in the proper position for after measurement.
No, we're not. All right, Mr. Rubin, would you step back and take your seat again, please? Thank you. All right, Mr. Darden, based upon the 9 1/2 and 9 5/8 measurements, what's your desires as far as Mr. Rubin is concerned? And Mr. Cochran, do you want some time of your own to chat with Mr. Rubin?
Yes, we would like.
All right. All right, Mr. Rubin? Certainly. Mr. Darden, once you complete your discussions with Mr. Rubin, I'll allow him to speak with Mr. Cochran. All right, Mr. Rubin.
Two minutes to go. We'd like a break. Can't use the jury room. Jury's down here now. Can you use someplace in the back? Maybe one of the other.
I think you'll just have to chat right there. I think you'll have to chat right there, because everything else is in operation in the back. Do we really need 5 minutes to talk to Mr. Rubin? All right, is there anything else we need to discuss? I'd hate to lose all this
Yeah,
time.
well, I'd like to then address the issue of have they said they want a demonstration? We got that point here. Otherwise, I'll wait until the time.
Mr. Darden?
I wait until he finishes his conversation with Mr. Rubin.
Well, at the same time, Your Honor, I have
No.
to talk to him again.
Do you wish to go forward with the use of the exemplar gloves provided by Eris?
I think that I do, but I need to talk to Mr. Rubin for just a couple more minutes.
All right, let me know when you're ready. In the Simpson matter, Mr. Simpson is again present before the court with his counsel. People are represented. Jury is not present. Mr. Shapiro, did everything go well with Mr. Metzner yesterday?
Yes, thank you so much for that.
All right. Well, would you convey to him the court's best wishes? All right. All right, Mr. Darden, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. We'd
All right.
like to have Mr. Simpson try on a new pair of Eris leather lights.
All right, and this is one of the exemplar pairs that we received from Eris Isotoner yesterday, correct?
That's correct.
All right, any comment on that, Mr. Cochran?
Yes, I'd like to be heard with regard to that.
All right,
May I add a couple of other points so that Mr. Cochran can respond to those?
Certainly.
While he's at the podium. We're going to ask that Mr. Simpson be required to put the gloves on over at the defense table and then walk over to the jury after he's placed them on his hands. We're going to ask the court to direct Mr. Simpson not to communicate with the jurors, and certainly not to communicate with me as well.
and when do you propose to do this? During the course of your request to recall Mr. Rubin?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and what else are you going to be calling Mr. Rubin for other than to testify that these gloves have the Brosser stitching and are exact replicas or part of the batch that was produced back in 90-91?
We're going to ask him to take a look at Mr. Simpson's hands after he places the gloves on, and then we're going to have him step back up on the witness stand and indicate whether or not it is a perfect fit or something less, and talk to him a little bit about the lining and a little bit more about shrinkage, and it shouldn't take very long at all.
All right.
Now, in the event that Mr. Simpson is unable to place his hands in the glove, we have gentlemen here whose hands are larger than Mr. Simpson's.
And who would that be?
That'd be Mr. Bell and Mr. Stevens.
All right,
Thank you, Rick.
Mr. Cochran.
Spent an awful lot of time on gloves. The problem, however, is, Your Honor, last Thursday, the prosecution made a calculated decision to have Mr. Simpson try on some gloves that did not fit. And they are the relevant gloves in this case, and I want to address that issue to the court at this point. And I want to talk to the court. The relevance of the fit of these alleged new gloves depends on showing by the prosecution, it seems to me, of substantial similarity between the conditions of these new gloves and the gloves in evidence, items 9 and items 37, Your Honor. That's what's really relevant. Those gloves were found, one at Rockingham allegedly and one at the Bundy scene. So those are the relevant gloves that he tried on last Thursday that didn't fit. Now we're asked to take some gloves that were apparently found in the factory after an exhaustive search, made in the Philippines, then brought forward, and I think the court may want to take some testimony from Mr. Rubin. We thank you for the opportunity. They're basically within the extra large gloves, there are basically 3 different sizes in the extra large. Mr. Rubin is, in fact, an expert in this area, and he shared his knowledge with us. There are the perfect extra large, the snug extra large, and the oversized extra large. And so that, you know, within the extra large, there's a little bit of play or give. We talked to him about that. He or no one else can tell us the condition of those gloves, the gloves in evidence, as of June 12th, which is the relevant time, Your Honor. We do know, in fact, that as of June 21st, some measurements were taken of 9 and 37. So we know those particular measurements. But we don't. We're now on June 21st, 1995, and so. You know, this is an experiment that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter whether these gloves would fit Mr. Simpson or these other gentlemen at this time if they're extra large. In fact, I think Mr. Rubin would testify if you allow us a brief hearing. Is time flying? If Mr.
This is my fondest dream come true.
Is time flying? Tempest fusion. This case is about to be over. Is that it? So the time flies when you're having fun, Your Honor.
Yes.
So, if I might proceed.
Please.
Your Honor, with regard, if Mr. Rubin will testify that extra large gloves will, within the range that I just described for you, will fit 99.5% of all men in America. And that's all nice to know, and the jury needs to be told that, because what does that have to do with anything? The question is the gloves in this case. So it's not particularly helpful. Also, Mr. Rubin will talk about gloves stretching out from north to south. And Mr. Darden has already told us that they have two very large men here who purport to have hands bigger than Mr. Simpson, and they've tried these gloves on. I mean, they're being a lot more careful. Well, these gloves were stretched out by their hands. So, I mean, these are not pristine gloves. Mr. Rubin will also say that the gloves in evidence, 9 and 37, have been handled in such a way he can't tell us anything about how they were back on June 12th or on June 21st, which would be a much more relevant time. And he himself saw two men, who I presume are Messrs. Bell and Stevens, try on these gloves that our client's now going to be asked to try on today. That's not fair. We don't have any pristine gloves from that standpoint. Further, if the court pleases, it just seems like, under the cases that I now want to cite to the court, that you have the authority, you have the discretion to exclude this bogus courtroom demonstration in which they seek to recapture some credibility for the mistake they made last Thursday. And I'd ask the court to read several cases that I think would be on point, or at least with regard to the exclusion of evidence. And I would cite to the court case of People versus Vaiza, V-A-I-Z-A, 244 Calap 2nd, 121. I would cite additionally People versus Boyd, 222 Calap 3rd, 541. People versus Gilbert, 5 Calap 4th, 1372. People versus Bonin, 47 Cal 3rd, 808. And the key issue with respect to substantial similarity is not that they're the same glove, Your Honor, but the condition of the gloves. And that's what we're talking about. The alleged shrinkage, if any, the alleged condition, if any. Mr. Rubin can't tell us whether those gloves, when they were purchased, if they were purchased back in 1990, were the snug extra large, the perfect extra large, or the oversized extra large. And so that's a real problem. The condition of the gloves at that time, at the time on June 12th, is what's relevant to this jury. And we're not here to mislead this jury. We're not here to try to have somebody recover from a mistake they made. This is not anything personal. This is a case that Your Honor will make us try based upon what's appropriate evidence. And that's not fair to my client. As to the next point, I just want to point out to the court that, and you sustain many of my objections, it was Mr. Darden who was doing most of the talking. You had allowed a demonstration. Mr. Darden took it upon himself to go forward and ask Mr. Simpson to grip something because they were embarrassed. And he kept talking, and I kept objecting, and it was totally unfair. They're the ones who asked to have Mr. Simpson over there. Now, because they're so wounded, they don't want him over there. That's unfair. If he's going to try on these gloves, he should try them on right in front of the jury again. But the point, let me just summarize what I've tried to say. These gloves would fit almost every male in America, these new gloves, and especially since they've been stretched. I mean, they're being very cautious. What have they done today, Your Honor? They've had his hands measured. They bring two big fellows down here who had their hands in these gloves. They've had Mr. Rubin have his hands in these gloves. What kind of test is this? We're just spinning our wheels because they want to end on some kind of a high note, and I think it's very, very unfortunate. And it's the burden of proof is on the prosecution to show that there's the similarity, a substantial similarity of the conditions of these gloves, and they can't do it. And we ask for a hearing on that point before we proceed, Your Honor. It's totally unfair. And if you rule against us, and I'd ask you to look at these cases because you have wide discretion in this matter, and I'd ask you to do that. And then, if you rule against us, then certainly Mr. Simpson should be able to try these gloves on in front of the jury, just as he did before. And if there's going to be, and I would ask you to caution counsel not to make all these statements back and forth. Mr. Simpson was only responding to what he was saying to him and trying to comply, but he didn't like the results, so now they want to change that. You know, it's really strange, Your Honor, where we hear all this talk for months about this search for truth, and now they want to do everything in secret. We want it to be in the open. So that's where we are, and I would ask the court to read the cases, and I'm asking specifically for a hearing. If you have any questions about the representations I made about how many people these gloves would fit, the people have tried on these gloves, and this is just a demonstration that takes us nowhere and means nothing, Your Honor, because the only real test is extremely prejudicial, it seems to us also. So I think that would be very, very unfair.
Mr. Darden?
Well, I think it is.
I am concerned about the point raised by Mr. Cochran regarding the trying on of these gloves by Messrs. Bell and Stevens.
Untrue, Your Honor. Mr. Bell and Mr. Stevens tried on a single pair of gloves, the same gloves I myself kept in my possession another pair of extra large gloves. And only Mr. Rubin has seen those gloves to measure them. So I don't know where he gets that.
All right, so it's
That's
your
not the case.
representation to the court that the ones that were used with Mr. Stevens and Mr. Bell were the second pair?
Yes.
All right, the record should reflect that yesterday we did receive from Aris 4 pairs of extra large. The court kept one, gave 2 to the prosecution, gave 1 to the defense. I indicated I wanted to keep one pair of extra large in the court's possession for precisely this reason.
And I've asked Mr. Yokelson to call the general counsel for Aris on your behalf to obtain another pair.
All right, do you have any objection then to using the pair that the extra large pair that the court kept in its custody yesterday for your demonstration? So there's no question, nobody's put these gloves on.
Oh, let me take a look at them.
Oh, wait a minute. Is he questioning the court?
No, I'm not questioning the court. I mean, you have a pair of gloves. I want to take a look at them.
All right?
I'm sure there won't be a problem, but I would like to take a look at them.
All right.
May I say one other thing?
I do agree with Mr. Cochran's point, though, that a foundation will need to be laid, whether or not these are, in fact, as represented by Mr. Rubin, to be from that particular run, the brosser stitching, the sizing, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
If you lay that foundation, then I'll allow the use of these new gloves. If there is a demonstration, if you do request that demonstration to take place, it will take place at the direction of the court. I will direct Mr. Simpson what to do and not to do, and counsel will make no comments during the course of that demonstration. Is that clear?
Thank you, Your Honor.
You need to Mr. Simpson or to the court?
Either.
May I approach?
You may. And Mr. Cochran, do you want to approach?
Sure, Your Honor.
The court kindly lay the ground rules for us in more detail at sidebar before
No, what I will do is, after Mr. Rubin has testified to the foundation, if I'm satisfied with the foundation, then I'll allow any other comment at sidebar. If I overrule any objections that exist at that time, I'll have Mr. Simpson step over to the podium, have him try on those 2 exemplar gloves, the extra large that the court kept. I'll direct him to put them on and then to remove them, and with no comment from counsel or Mr. Simpson.
Will the court allow during the foundational phase, at least before the demonstration, a couple of questions of Mr. Rubin? Before I allow that?
I'll allow you to take him on voir dire for that purpose, for the foundational purpose.
Thank you.
Mr. Cochran? I'm sorry, Mr. Darden.
concerned about having Mr. Simpson, who seems to be in a rather animated mood today. That is to have him come over to the podium and put the gloves on, is that he will make facial gestures and other types of things in front of this jury.
Well, counsel, the problem is, what the jury needs to see is the fit of the gloves. The jury needs to see it. Mr. Simpson needs to be close enough to the jury panel so that they can see him. And the jury can take into consideration what other gestures or facial expressions Mr. Simpson makes during the course of that, and determining his credibility in this during the, well, not determining his credibility, but in evaluating this demonstration. But I'm going to direct him not to make any comments and not to make any overt gestures towards the jury.
And the same thing with the lawyers.
I'm going to have the lawyers seated during the course of this demonstration.
So to allow him to act up in front of the jury is
I'm not allowing him to act up, counsel. I'm going to direct him where to stand, what to do, where to turn.
Can the record reflect that Mr. Rubin is measuring
Yes.
your honest gloves?
Yes. All right. Anything else? I'm afraid to ask.
Just a second here. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Rubin, in indicates that your extra large is a little smaller than my extra large.
Yeah, that's precisely the point, and that's why this demonstration is bogus. And the court knows you kept this extra large. I made the representation to you. You may want to take some testimony from Mr. Rubin, Your Honor, with regard to these gloves. That's the problem. Within the extra large, there's these 3 different sizes. And, you know, nobody's ever tried these gloves on, but you get this lot out here, and it's a real problem for us.
Well,
in the
we'll
demonstration.
see. Let's see what the testimony is, counsel.
Okay, can we do that? Thank you, Your Honor.
After Mr. Simpson puts on the court's pair, is there any reason why he can't put on my pair?
We'll see. Let's see what kind of foundation you lay for these gloves.
This is not a modeling show. I mean, this is a murder trial.
Counsel, all right, we'll proceed.
In addition, of course, the defense has a pair, but,
Yes, they do.
yeah. And
All right, counsel, also, I'm going to explain to the jury there were a number of matters that I had to take up out of their presence, which counts for the delay. I'll tell them about the delay that we're going to have tomorrow because of the hearing we're going to have with Dr. Ware and the defense witnesses, who I don't recollect. Right. That will be in session with them tomorrow afternoon. That's the bad news. The good news is that the prosecution has announced that they will try to wind up by the end of next week. All right, so the jury will have some light at the end of the tunnel. All right, Deputy Magnero, let's have the jurors, please. You mark on the label of the court's pair, on the inside of the label, the attached label, court, so we know which one's which. All right, thank you. Be seated. Let the record reflect that we've been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, my apologies to you for having kept you waiting so long this morning, and also for not being in session yesterday afternoon. There were a number of things that I had to take up out of your presence, and it took longer than I thought it would, obviously. Also, for your information, tomorrow morning I'm going to be conducting another hearing out of your presence regarding some potential evidence, and that will probably take the entire morning session, so we will not be calling you back into the courtroom till tomorrow afternoon. So that's the bad news. The good news is that I've been informed by the prosecution that they anticipate concluding the presentation of their case in chief by the end of next week. So we are making some progress, and hopefully we'll be able to wind this up at least as far as the first half of the case is concerned. All right, just to keep you apprised as to what's going on, we are making progress, and the reason for that is some of these things that I have to take up out of your presence. So I hope you understand. My apologies to you, but we're trying to make as much progress as is possible. All right, Mr. Darden.
thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. Your Honor, the people call Mr. Rubin back to the stand.
All right. And I released Mr. Rubin again last time, so we need to re-swear him.
Raise your right hand, please. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please have a seat on the witness stand and state your first and last name for the record.
Richard Rubin, R-U-B-I-N.
Mr. Darden.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Rubin.
Good morning, Mr. Darden.
Mr. Rubin, you returned to Los Angeles at my request.
That's correct.
And when did you arrive back in L.A.?
A little after 8 o'clock last night.
And were you brought to my office?
Yes, I was.
And did we meet and talk?
Yes, we did.
Did I show you some objects or items in my office last night?
Yes, you did.
And what did I show you?
You showed me 4 different pair of Aris Lights gloves.
And what were the sizes of those gloves?
I believe one was a small, one was a large, and 2 were extra large,
Okay. Did you see a medium?
and also a medium.
So you saw 5 pairs of gloves?
Yes.
Showing you a pair of Aris leather light gloves. May these be marked People's Next in Order?
401.
401. And I'm indicating 401 on the inside of the tag, Your Honor. Okay. Showing you what has been marked People's 401 by identification.
Yes.
You didn't see those gloves in my office last night, did you?
No, I did not.
When was the first time you saw those gloves?
3-4 minutes ago.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to take a look at those gloves, if you will. Okay.
Yes.
And do you have fresh in your mind the style and appearance of the Rockingham and Bundy glove?
Yes, I do.
Those gloves were Aris leather lights, is that correct?
Yes, they were.
What is the make and style of the gloves in your hand?
This is Aris Leather Lights, style 70263, brown extra large.
Okay. Now, the gloves you saw from Rockingham and Bundy, were they extra large gloves?
The left glove that I saw was definitely an extra large.
And the other one?
In its current condition, I believe it's closer to a large than an extra large, or it's a very small extra large at this point in time.
Okay. And was there some unique kind of stitching on the Rockingham and Bundy glove?
Yes, there was.
What kind of stitching was that?
It's called brosser stitching. It's a very fine whip stitch.
And the stitching on the gloves in your hand now marked People's 401?
Is the same.
Okay. Same color?
Same color brown. Very slight different shade, but the colors do vary between pairs.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
You may.
So is it your testimony that the gloves marked 401 are the same make, model, style, and style as the glove from Rockingham and Bundy?
Yes, they are.
Now, what is the size of the gloves there in front of you?
These are extra large.
Okay. And there's a tag that indicates that they're extra large. Is that correct?
Yes, both inside the glove and outside the glove.
Okay. Now, during the break this morning, did you measure Mr. Simpson's hands?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And would you describe for the jury how you conducted that measurement?
Basically, I took my right hand and put it up against Mr. Simpson's left hand. I took a pen from my pocket, and I put the pen in the crotch of Mr. Simpson's finger, and I slid my hand up against his hand to give me a finger-length measurement. After that, I then took a normal soft tape measure put it in the palm of Mr. Simpson's hand, moved the ruler over to the 10-inch mark, wrapped the actual soft tape measure around the hand, thus giving me the approximate circumference of his left hand and his right hand, which is the conventional way that we would measure someone's gloves for size.
Okay. Your Honor, could I have Mr. Rubin step down and show the jury how he conducted his measurements using Mr. Bell?
Certainly.
Mr. Bell?
All right, with the report. All right, thank you very much, counsel. Mr. Darden, you may continue.
Mr. Rubin, if you'll please step down and show the jury the manner in which you measured Mr. Simpson's hand, or hands rather, this morning. Mr. Bell, if you would assist, please.
All right, also present is Mr. Kenneth Bell.
Basically, I took his left hand.
Can't turn your back to the jury.
Sorry. I took his left hand, I put my right hand up against it. Notice, please. I first took my pen and put it in the actual crotch of Mr. Simpson's fingers and slid my hand up to get a correct alignment as to attempting to figure out what size Mr. Simpson's fingers were in comparison to mine.
All right, Mr. Rubin, Mr. Bell, would you then turn around because the jurors on that end of the box can't see. There you go.
In this particular case, my fingers are slightly longer than Mr. Bell's. Then, using this tape measure, I took the palm, I moved the tape measure right under the knuckle area. This is where we actually measure for a glove size, right across this particular area. I took the measure to make it easy for myself to around the 10 mark. I wrapped it around. And in this particular case, Mr. Bell is about 9 5/8 inches as far as circumference in the hand. And I did this procedure on both hands.
All right, Mr. Rubin, Mr. Bell, would you move down to this end of the jury box? They were not able to see
I'm
that
sorry.
demonstration.
Mr. Bell's left hand is 9 5/8.
Yes.
Would you show the jury the process using Mr. Bell's right hand?
That may be a better angle for these jurors.
Once again, just where the hand breaks is where we more or less measure. For convenience, I moved it up to 10. I wrapped the tape measure around. And it comes to about 19 and a half,
All right, 795, can you see that? All right, thank you.
which is a 9 and a half, approximately.
All right, thank you, counsel. Mr. Darden?
Mr. Bell's 9 5/8 and 9 1/2, is that correct?
That's, let me say this, within an eighth of an inch or so, it depends upon exactly how snug you pull the tape, but very, very close, yes.
Okay. And Mr. Simpson, what were his measurements?
On the left hand, it was 9 and a half, and on the right hand, it was 9 5/8.
Mr. Simpson and Mr. Bell basically have the same size hands?
The difference between the two,
I withdraw the question, Your Honor.
All right.
Okay. Looking at the glove marked 401,
yes,
would you expect that a man having hands the size of Mr. Bell and Mr. Simpson could put that glove on their hand?
this particular pair?
Yes.
This particular pair will go on either one of their hands, but it's going to be very, very tight.
Okay, why is that?
Well, in the manufacturing of these particular gloves, they are table cut by hand, and there is a slight variance. The standard for extra large is to fit perfectly 9 1/2 inch circumference around the hand. That it would be the perfect fit. And basically, the glove would be manufactured so that there's no excess leather past the 9 1/2. That would be a perfect 9 1/2. This particular style will fit a 9 1/2, but it's a little bit on the snug side. It's also a little bit short, and that's what gave me that indication. Is this would be on the small size of extra large. On the large size of extra large, the glove would actually fit someone up to a size 10 in circumference.
Okay. Now, you testified last week that these gloves were designed to give a snug fit. Is that correct?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And when you purchase gloves for the first time and put your hand in them for the first time, do they tend to be tighter on your hand than they will be later?
They should be.
Okay. And after you've worn a pair of gloves, let's say once, do those gloves become looser?
Gradually over time, the gloves, as you move your hand back and forth, the leather will stretch, the gloves will get a little bit looser, yes.
Okay. But they can also shrink, is that correct?
The only time they would actually shrink would be if they're exposed to the elements,
Okay. Like water?
water.
And if they're exposed to blood, will they shrink?
Sustain. Sustain.
What if the gloves are frozen? Offer of proof.
Full roll.
I am not a technician, but if I were to speculate,
Sustain. Sustain.
Is that a speaking objection, Your Honor?
Proceed.
What if they were wet and then dried and then wet again and then dried again?
they would shrink.
Certainly.
Mr. Rubin, the gentleman seated here next to Mr. Bell, Mr.
Yes.
Stevens.
Yes.
You met Mr. Stevens when you were here last week?
Yes, I did.
And have you measured his hands?
Yes, I have.
And what were the measurements of his hands?
Sustain.
The Aris leather lights have a cashmere lining, is that correct?
Yes, they do.
Does cashmere shrink if wet?
Yes, it can.
Okay. Will cashmere shrink if not wet, but as it ages?
It should not.
Did you test the gloves from strike that. Did you examine the gloves from Bundy and Rockingham to see if the lining had shrunk at all?
It was actually difficult to tell. I looked at the lining, but I really couldn't determine whether the linings had shrunk.
Now, you testified last week that in their original form, a size extra large Aris leather light glove would fit the defendant. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You still hold that opinion?
Yes, I do.
Your Honor, if it pleases the court, I'd like to have Mr. Bell try on People's 401.
Objection. That's relevant.
Stay.
Well, may I approach?
Sure, with the court reporter.
Proceed, Your Honor.
I've given Mr. Darden a moment.
Mr. Rubin, You have your own pair of Eris leather lights, is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. They fit you?
Yes, they do.
And when you were here last week, did you put on your Eris leather lights?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And they fit?
Yes.
Did you put on a pair of latex gloves?
Yes, I did.
And then did you then once again
Overruled.
Yes, I did.
attempt to put your gloves on? Did you put on a pair of latex gloves and then put your
Yes, I did.
Eris gloves on? And did you encounter some difficulty in doing that?
As Leading suggested, this was all covered last time, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Yes, I did.
I told us that Mr. Simpson has an extra large glove hand, is that correct?
That's correct.
Does this appear to be the box that you, from which you removed latex gloves last week?
Yes.
And looking at that box, does it indicate the size? What is the size of the latex gloves contained in that box?
Size large.
Not extra large.
Correct.
Can I have one moment, Your Honor?
Overruled.
Your Honor, if it pleases the court, we'd like to have Mr. Simpson try on the gloves marked 401 for identification.
All right. Mr. Cochran.
Morning, Mr. Rubin.
Good morning, Mr. Cochran.
Mr. Rubin, sir, with regard to the Eris extra light gloves, those placed before you there, am I to understand that within the extra large glove, there's some variance in size of the extra large gloves manufactured by Eris Isotoner?
That's correct.
And am I to understand, sir, that within the extra large category, there are at least 3 different kinds, is that correct?
I've always considered it that way,
Okay.
yes.
And what are the 3 different areas?
There would be a perfect sized extra large, which would be the benchmark that every cutter should try to achieve in the manufacturing process. There would be a oversized extra large, which would be a byproduct of a cutter leaving a little bit too much excess leather in the pattern when he was actually producing the product. And then there would be a undersized extra large, which would be the exact reverse of the oversized, where they really were trying to make an extra large glove out of a size large.
All right. And so this variation was what you came to expect as an expert in the field within the extra large area, is that correct?
It was commercially acceptable, correct?
All right. And so when you received a particular glove, you wouldn't know whether you'd gotten, when it says, they all say extra large, don't they?
All 3 of those would.
They all say extra large. And you wouldn't know whether it was a perfect extra large or an oversized extra large or a snug extra large until you actually put it on your hand, is that correct?
I don't believe that the average person in America even knows what size they are. So unless the perception was that it felt good or that it fit well, its perception becomes reality.
I understand.
Overruled. Goes to foundation.
It's so that this whole area of trying on gloves and glove making is part science, part craft. Would that be correct? And so, and you have to like put your hands in and feel it to make a determination. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so you cannot say that the gloves before you there, which I guess are marked now 401, Your Honor?
People 401.
You cannot say that those gloves before you, now 401, were cut by the same person as the gloves we saw in this case, items 9 and items 37, can you?
I cannot from the outside tell that.
All right. And these gloves are made in the Philippines, is that correct?
In Manila,
In Manila?
yes.
And with regard to those gloves before you, items 401, you've looked at the gloves, is that correct?
Yes, I have.
And may I approach, Your Honor?
You may.
And with regard to these particular gloves here, 401 for identification, we know according to the label that, first of all, there's an extra large on the outside, right?
Correct.
But that doesn't tell us whether they're snug, oversized, or perfect,
It does not.
right? And that regarding these Eris lights, we see a style number and a color. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And from looking at the outside there, can you tell us when those particular gloves, their 401, were made?
I cannot.
So, and with regard to those gloves, their 401, you can't tell us whether they're made at the same time or the same year as the gloves that we have in this case that Mr. Simpson attempted to try on last Thursday, can you?
I cannot.
As I understand and understood your testimony, did you tell us that the left glove of the gloves that were tried on last week, the so-called Bundy glove, that left glove was now, at least according to your estimation, I believe you tried on, was now perhaps a large or just a little bit larger than a large. Is that right?
That's what I said.
And that the right glove, at least from appearances in your examination, was larger than the left, but the left was the smaller of the two.
It's difficult to calculate it, but it appeared that way just having it on my hand briefly.
And Mr. Rubin, you can't tell us anything about the size of the gloves in this case back in June of 1994, can you?
They were designed to be an extra large. I do not know the exact sizing as of June 1994.
Are you aware, and did you become aware today, that the gloves in this case, items 9 and items 37, were measured by Susan Brockbank of the Los Angeles Police Department on or about June 21st, 1994?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
You became aware of that today?
I believe I became aware last evening.
And would you agree that the relevant, we'll strike that. With regard to the gloves that are before you now, items 401, you've not today, have you compared the gloves before you with the gloves in evidence in this case, have you?
I have not.
But you can tell us, as an expert, that the gloves that are in evidence are smaller than the gloves before you. Isn't that correct?
Yes, they are.
For whatever reason, they're smaller. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
Now, counsel asked you some questions about this concept of shrinkage. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And with regard to the gloves that you saw last week and the gloves in evidence here, you cannot tell this jury whether those gloves were shrunk in 1990, 1991,
Objection.
92,
This is not.
93, 94, can you?
No, I cannot.
And you cannot tell this jury the condition of the gloves in evidence as of June 12, 1994. Is that correct?
I cannot.
All you know is that there was a measurements taken on June 21st, 1994, and the measurements and the appearance, and you're putting your hands on those gloves, make you know they are substantially smaller than those gloves before you there, 401. Isn't that correct?
I would like to reserve judgment until I could see the other gloves next to these, and I have not measured the other gloves myself, so I really can't say.
But you've already told us that you tried on the left glove. Recall that?
Yes.
And you told us that it's now a large or a little more than large. Isn't that correct?
I believe that those gloves are definitely shorter, but may not be that much different in the palm area.
All right. Now, with regard to this shrinkage that counsel brought up, when gloves shrink, they shrink from north to south, don't they?
That's correct.
And that's one of your terms, is it not? It's north to south?
Yes.
What does that mean?
This is improper.
Overruled.
What does
What-
north to south mean? We show the jury?
What it means is that in the manufacturing process, the gloves are actually stretched over a pattern to create the length. And then that piece of leather is then stretched to the width. What you have to do is get enough leather in width, which when stretched north-south, creates the exact perfect size with no excess leather on the edges. Pretty much so, to get a size 9.5 extra large glove in this type of weight of leather, what you would have to do, when you stretched it to the width, you would require an additional 1 1/2 inch, which is called an allowance. So to get a perfect 9.5, you would actually have to have 11 inches of leather in a square, left to right, and then when you went north to south, you would come up to about 10 3/8, 10.5 inches, and you'd have a perfect extra large. And what happens is, because it is cut to the width and stretched to the length, when it shrinks, the glove will come down in length, but not so much down here in the body.
Not in width, is that what you're saying?
That's
sir?
correct.
All right. And with regard to gloves, such as the gloves in evidence here, they can be stretched, strike that. Once they've been once they have been shrunk, they can, once they've been shrunk, they can be brought back to their normal size by continual usage, or people putting their hands in it. Is that correct?
It cannot really come all the way back.
But it can come some of the way back?
A good portion, depending upon how long they've been wet, how they were dried, what temperature conditions, how much liquid of any type was absorbed into the leather, because these particular leathers are naked. In other words, these leathers can't absorb.
All right. But with regard to the gloves in this case, you have no knowledge of what, if any, liquid may have been on those gloves, and how much, do you?
I do not know.
All right. And with regard to gloves, such as the 401 and the gloves that Mr. Darden has here, those gloves, if a big person, such as these two gentlemen here, Messrs. Bell and Stevens, puts their hands in some of these gloves, let's say an extra large glove, they would tend to stretch those gloves, won't they?
Not initially. They would have to wear them some time before they would actually stretch a little bit. They would have to open and close their hand quite a few times. This is what really stretches a glove. When you open and close your hand, your knuckles become quite broad. That's what creates the stretch.
All right, and for the record, he was moving his hands up and down. But this morning in this building, you saw those two gentlemen try on some gloves that we received yesterday from Harris, didn't you?
I saw them try on one pair of gloves.
All right, you saw them try on
I
one.
think we're beyond the scope of
All
work
right,
on this.
May I have just a minute, Your Honor? Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Just a couple more questions. Now, with regard to the extra large that are before you, is it correct that 99.5% of all males in America are, may I finish the question?
Overruled the objection.
Thank you, I couldn't hear you, Your Honor. Thank you. Is it correct, sir, that 99.5% of all males in America could wear an extra large glove?
Yes.
That's expected, isn't it?
Yes.
In that pristine condition before you there?
A perfect extra large, very few people would be double XL in size that would require a larger glove than an extra large. The gloves might fit tight on some, perfect on others, a little loose on others, but basically anybody that's smaller than an extra large in size is going to be able to get their hands in the gloves.
That's like 99.5% of the population.
That's correct.
Male population, right?
That's correct.
Thank you. Let me put your phone.
All right, with court reporter, please. All right, Mr. Darden.
Two more questions. Mr. Rubin, you did testify that you spoke to me in my office last night and this morning.
Yes, I did.
But when you came into the courtroom today, you spoke to some other lawyers, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And where were you when you spoke to those other lawyers?
Right behind that partition.
Over in the corner?
Yes.
Okay. And how many lawyers did you speak to in that corner?
I believe it's 4.
Okay. And who were those lawyers?
Mr. Cochran, Mr. Shapiro, Mr. Scheck, and Mr. Blazer.
Okay. And was there a...
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, so you were in the corner of the courtroom with 5 defense attorneys?
Yes, I was.
Okay. For how long were you there?
I think approximately 15 minutes.
They asked you a lot of questions?
Yes, they did.
You answered them?
I answered them.
We proceed with the demonstration, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Rubin, the pair of gloves that you have in front of you, is there anything in them right now? Any cardboard stretching material, anything like that?
Yes, there's some forming inserts in them.
All right, would you remove those, please? All right, let me ask counsel to be seated. And Mr. Simpson, would you please step over to the podium? And Mr. Rubin, would you, you've removed the forming inserts?
Yes, I did.
All right, and would you, I think we need to cut the string that's in between them. Can you just pull those apart? Thank you. All right, would you hand the right-hand glove to Mr. Simpson, please?
We have Mr. Simpson back to the podium.
Your Honor.
No comments, counsel. I'll direct it. And Mr. Simpson, would you please, however, stand at the podium? Thank you. Turn to your right, please. All right, Mr. Darden, would you have a seat, please?
I'm just trying to see the demonstration.
Counsel, be seated, please. All right, Mr. Rubin, would you give Mr. Simpson the left glove, please? All right, Mr. Simpson, would you show your hands to the jury, please, front and back? All right, thank you, sir. All right. And would you remove the gloves and give them back to Mr. Rubin, please?
May I request that Mr. Rubin feel the glove on Mr. Simpson's hand?
Sustain. All right. Mr. Rubin, would you retake the witness stand, please? Mr. Darden.
Mr. Rubin, I didn't see what happened. Could you tell me what happened?
Overruled.
Mr. Simpson
Sustain. Why don't you re-ask the question?
approached the podium.
Hold on. Re-ask the question.
Mr. Rubin, could you describe for me, please, what occurred during that demonstration?
Mr. Simpson approached the podium in front of the jury box, took the right glove from me, and proceeded to put it on his right hand. And then I handed him the left glove, and he proceeded to put it on his left hand.
Okay. Did he have any difficulty?
You can ask him his opinion regarding the fit.
Could you give us your opinion regarding the fit of the glove on Mr. Simpson's hand?
I think they fit quite well.
And would you-
This is an extra-large glove. It was a little on the snug side since these had never been tried on before. But basically, he was able to get them over his hands, tugging at them a little bit that you would normally do when you first try on a pair of gloves for the first time. And they appeared to fit him snug and tight, pretty much the way the gloves were designed.
You've indicated that those gloves are on the small size of extra large. Is that correct?
I indicated that initially.
Overruled.
Yes, I did.
Mr. Rubin, did those gloves fit the way they should fit when they're new?
Yes.
And with time, would you expect those gloves to loosen up? That is, if the defendant wore them for more than the brief moment he wore them here in front of the jury.
They wouldn't change in 2 minutes, but over time, if someone were to move their hands back and forth, drive a car, do something with the gloves on, they gradually would get a little looser initially, yes.
Okay. Now, you told us last week that those gloves were not manufactured after 1992. Is that correct?
I was under the impression, according to Brenda Vemich, who testified earlier, that she, starting in 1992, started to receive merchandise that was not sewn in the same construction. However, it was considered the same style number.
So between 1992 and 94, that would allow the owner of a pair of these gloves many opportunities to wear them and stretch them.
Sustained.
Thank you.
Mr. Cochran, anything further?
Yes, just a very brief question, Your Honor. So that what that demonstration by the prosecution just showed us is that Mr. Simpson will... I haven't finished the question yet, Your Honor. May I?
Proceed.
Thank you. What that demonstration by the prosecution just showed us is that Mr. Simpson will be like 99.5% of all males in America. Is that correct? Is he putting the gloves on?
That's correct.
All right. And you understand in this case, the real question is whether or not the gloves that were found allegedly in this case would be fit by Mr. Simpson. Do you understand that, do you?
Yes, I do.
All right. And those are the gloves that we talked about last week. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And those are the gloves where you found that the left glove is now maybe slightly bigger than a large. Is that correct?
Yes, but I would like to re-examine them. If you really pinned me down, I would rather re-examine them and compare them to the gloves here or any other pair that's in the courtroom to give myself a more accurate statement as to exactly what size they are.
All right. But what you told us before was that you thought it was similar to a large. Is that correct?
Yes.
But in any event, you know they were smaller than these gloves, these new gloves that we got sent out here yesterday from back east. Is that correct?
In length.
All right. Is that right? You understand that?
Yes.
That's your understanding, right? Now, with regard to Miss Susan Brockbank, the lady from the Los Angeles Police Department that I asked you about, have you had occasion to see...
Rephrase the question.
Okay, certainly. With regard to your knowledge of the gloves having been measured by a representative of the Los Angeles Police Department on June 21st, 1994, how'd you come by that knowledge?
I was shown statistics regarding certain key measurements of the gloves.
And who showed you those statistics?
Mr. Darden,
And that was in his office this morning?
I believe it was last night.
Oh, I see. You met with Mr. Darden last night, too?
Yes, I did.
Let's see. You flew in here last night at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
And then what time did you meet with Mr. Darden?
Approximately 8:45
And how long did you meet with him at that time and where?
till approximately 11 o'clock.
So about 2 hours and 15 minutes last night?
That's correct.
And was that meeting in this building?
Yes, it was.
And then did you meet with him after that, or did you go home at that point? Or go someplace at that point?
I didn't go out at that point.
All right, okay. And then you came back this morning,
Yes, I did.
and you met with Mr. Darden again?
Yes, I did.
And what time did you start meeting with him this morning?
A little after 8
And how long did you meet with him?
till approximately 10 minutes before 10.
So you met with him then, was that almost 2 hours more?
That's correct.
So you came back here last night at about 8 o'clock, and since that time, you met with Mr. Darden for approximately 4 hours. Is that correct?
I think it was less than that.
A little less, a little bit less?
3.5 hours.
All right. And during that period of time, were there any other deputy district attorneys present?
Yes.
Who were they?
David Wooden,
That's
Allen.
this gentleman here
Yes.
with the I'm sorry, the gentleman with this colorful tie, red color.
Allen, Anthony, this other gentleman. There were people coming in and out.
All right, the back row people there. You met with all of those people there.
The back row?
No, when you said Alan, were you talking about somebody not here?
Right, correct.
Alan Yokelson?
Yes, Alan Yokelson.
He's a deputy district attorney.
Yes.
All right. And who else?
Marsha Clark,
Ms. Clark, last night and this morning? Just
last
this morning?
night only.
All right. Not this morning. It's
Not
too
this-
early for
not this
too early
morning.
for her? Okay. I knew that was only kidding, Your Honor. And who else did you meet with?
Detectives Stevens and Bell.
You met with them, and that's when you saw them try on one of the gloves that Mr. Darden had there. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you measured their hands, did you?
Yes,
All right. Now, you were asked to measure Mr. Simpson's hands this morning outside the presence of this jury. Is that correct?
yes, I was.
You don't have any objection to measuring his hands in...
Sustained. Sustained.
Oh, let me see if I can ask another way, Your Honor. Do you have a problem with measuring Mr. Simpson's hands?
Sustained. The measurement is what's the issue.
All right, Your Honor. You measured Mr. Simpson's hands here in this court, is that right?
Yes, I did.
And we were all present at the time?
Yes,
All right. And that was before the jury came in, is that correct?
that's correct.
All right. Now, so you met with Mr. Darden 3.5 hours, and you met with us about 15 minutes, is that correct?
Approximately.
And during the last part of our meeting, when we were over in this corner, who came and stood by us as we were having the meeting, as we were talking?
Mr. Darden.
He was hurrying us up, isn't that right? You remember that?
I don't know what Mr. Darden was thinking at the time.
What-
He did come over.
And what did he say when he came over? Hurry up?
I don't remember his exact words.
All right, you saw him standing there, didn't you?
Yes, I
While we
did.
were talking, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. Just another minute, Your Honor. I'm mindful of the time. A couple more questions, Your Honor. I think I can finish them so you can hopefully go back to New York. Mr. Rubin, sir, on this subject of shrinkage, you have no knowledge of how much liquid was on either of the gloves involved in this case, items 9 or item 37, do you?
I do not.
You would expect, however, would you, sir, that of those two gloves, 9 and 37, the one with the most liquid would tend to shrink more than the one with less liquid. Is that a reasonable statement? No, I'm asking.
Or, do you know,
If both gloves were identical to start,
Yes.
you have to go on that assumption that they were perfectly identical and that they're a pair and they were cut from the same skin, the glove with more liquid absorbed into it would shrink more than the glove with less.
All right. But we know these gloves aren't perfect, don't we?
That's correct.
Thank you very kindly, Your Honor. I have nothing further this week.
Mr. Darden?
About 5 minutes, Your Honor. When you met with the lawyers over in the corner of the courtroom, you met with Mr. Sheck, right?
Yes, I did.
You understand he's a DNA expert, don't you?
Sustained. Sustained.
Okay. Do you know why you met with Mr. Sheck as well as the other lawyers?
Sustained.
Now, Mr. Cochran asked you whether or not 95% of the population could fit their hand into an extra large.
Overruled. 99.
99%. 99.6%. How about that?
He discussed that point.
Okay. But how many people with size small hands buy extra large gloves?
Overruled.
Nobody that I would think of.
Okay. And you met last night with me in my office, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you know I don't get paid extra to meet with you that late at night?
He's testifying, I object. Move to strike.
Sustained.
But you saw Mr. Bell for a few moments yesterday?
No, I did not.
You didn't see him at all yesterday?
No.
Okay. You saw Mr. Stevens for a few moments yesterday?
No, I did not.
You didn't see him at all? How about the gentleman here, Mr. Escobar? Did you see him yesterday?
No, I did not.
Did you see him this morning?
Yes, I did.
What was he doing when you saw him?
Overruled.
I'm not exactly sure what he was doing. He wasn't, to me, I don't think he was doing anything.
You saw Mr. Wooden last night, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you saw Mr. Wooden this morning?
Yes, I did.
And he works for me, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And you saw Marsha Clark last night?
Yes, I did.
How long did you see her?
Approximately 30 minutes.
So the person you met with primarily last night then was me, is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, you also testified in response to Mr. Cochran's questions that you measured the defendant's hands. this
That's
morning.
correct.
And that was after the court ordered him to submit to a measurement, is that correct?
Sustained. Sustained.
In response to Mr. Cochran's question, you testified that the demonstration showed that the defendant could wear gloves that 99.5% of the population could wear.
That's
that right?
correct.
But it also showed that he could have worn the gloves that Bundy and Rockingham did.
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
Did the demonstration indicate to you at all that he could wear the gloves found at Rockingham and Bundy?
Check the form of that question, Your Honor, rather than put a foundation.
I'll sustain the objection because it is, contains multiple components.
At any event, the gloves he tried on today are extra large, just as the Bundy and Rockingham gloves apparently are. Is that correct?
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
Are the gloves, is the glove at Bundy an extra large?
I can confirm the left-hand glove was definitely an extra large when it was produced.
The Rockingham glove, you're not so sure of?
I would like the opportunity to inspect it.
How long will that take?
2 minutes.
Okay, and what will you be required to do to inspect this glove?
To really confirm that it was an extra large,
Yes.
I would actually have to somehow look through either the hole in the glove or the hole in the lining, or just take the lining slightly away from the glove and get the thumb pushed up so I could see the markings as to who was the cutter, in what sequence it was made, and what size it actually was produced as.
Okay, and all of that information will be contained inside the glove, you expect?
Inside the thumb.
Okay. Now, is it possible for that kind of information to fade with wear and with time?
It could.
Do you require a knife or some other item?
I
to conduct
don't
this
think so
examination?
initially.
Your Honor, may I hand the witness 164A, LAPD item 9? Yeah, please.
You want any paper up there? I think there's a pad right to Mr. Darden, right here to the left of the witness stand. There should be a pad of paper there. Mrs. Robertson?
Need a knife or something?
I'll open it up and I'll make it.
Pose another question. Mr. Rubin, Mr. Stevens and Mr. Bell never tried on People's 401A, is that correct?
No,
People's 401.
I believe they were given to me by Judge Ito.
Okay. And you don't know where these gloves came from, do you?
I believe earlier it was stated that they were flown here, Federal Express, yesterday from the manufacturer.
All right, let the record reflect that Mr. Rubin has before him the glove. And Mr. Darden, that's People's Exhibit which? You may.
164A.
This glove was manufactured as an extra large.
How can you tell that?
It actually,
It actually what?
it has the markings extra large in it.
Does it also have the cutter's number?
Those particular numbers are not here at this point in time.
And what does that indicate to you?
It indicates to me that when this glove was manufactured, it was manufactured as an extra large.
Okay, well, the fact that the cutter's number is not there, can you offer an explanation for why the cutter's number is apparent?
I'm not 100% sure.
How sure are you?
Objection. Also speculation.
Overruled. All right, Madam Reporter, do you need to change paper right now?
Okay, I'm sorry. I found in another location, I'm sorry. I now have the cutter number. It was in another location.
Okay, and what is that number?
359.
Okay. Now, is there something called a sequence number?
Yes, it's a 9.
Okay. And what exactly is a sequence number?
In the manufacturing process, they normally would give a cutter approximately 100 feet of leather, which would make around 30 pair of gloves, and they would actually chart the process in which the first glove he made, the second glove he made, the third glove he made, et cetera. And that's how they keep track of the particular product.
Back into the bag. Your Honor, may I have Mr. Rubin take a look at People 77?
Yes, and would you retrieve the other? All right, thank you.
Cutter number, sizing number.
Change your gloves.
Okay.
I ask you to locate the sequence number, the cutter's number, and the sizing stamp inside the glove, Mr. Rubin.
All right, while he's doing that, let's allow the court reporter to change paper, so don't ask any more questions till she's been allowed. Yes. All right, Madam Reporter, why don't you change the paper? All right, Madam Reporter, have you changed your paper?
I'm sorry, Mr. Conklin, even the witness in front of the jury?
Just looking at the gloves.
All right, Mr. Darden, ask your next question, please.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Too smooth.
All right, counsel, that's enough.
Now, you told us that the first glove was XL, cutter 359, sequence 9. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, and the second glove?
it's the same. This is a pair.
This is a pair. Okay. That's all.
All right, Mr. Cochran, do you have any further questions for Mr.
Yes, I
Rubin?
do, Your Honor. With regard to these gloves now that we're talking about, the ones you have in your hand now, you said that if you looked at the left glove, you'd be able to give the court and jury some indication as to whether or not you believe that the left glove, or the glove allegedly found at Bundy, was closer to a large, or a little bit larger than a large glove now.
I'm trying to get the lining back in. Once I get the lining back in, I think I might be able to
Sure, sir.
figure that out.
You've now, Mr. Rubin, sir, you've now had occasion to examine and try on that left glove. Is it your opinion that the left glove allegedly found at Bundy, is smaller than the gloves that we had here in court this morning, items 401?
In the finger length, yes, and in the actual palm, I believe this is just slightly smaller than the gloves that we had on here today.
Slightly smaller in the palm,
But-
and in the finger length. How much in the finger length are they smaller? Can you give us an estimate, sir?
It appears a half inch or better at this point.
A half inch or better?
I could, if I had a tape measure, if I could borrow the tape measure, I could tell you.
You may.
Picture of this. This is measuring approximately 9 3/8. The glove that was on the table before measured 10.
All right, so it would be about 5/8.
Yes.
5/8 smaller. This glove is 5/8 smaller, is that correct?
Shorter.
Shorter, 5/8 shorter. You measured the left, right, north to south?
That's correct.
Okay. And given that 5/8 difference, would that put it in the range as you'd indicated of maybe large to extra large was smaller than the regular extra large, right?
As is, this is smaller than the conventional extra large.
So
Yes.
you were right all along, is that right?
I think I was somewhat correct.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Now, but we wanted to disprove it. Now, you'll also notice this particular glove, the left glove, Leslie found. As you look at that glove, you don't see much. There's not much in the way of liquid on that glove. Look first at the fingers. You know,
That's irrelevant.
Stop.
So we're going to rephrase the question.
Yes. Do you see much in the way of liquid on this left glove? And I want you to look first at the fingers here.
I think the issue is, does he see evidence of liquid having been there?
Yes, Your Honor.
There
Do you
being
see
no liquid.
evidence? Let me phrase it appropriately, Your Honor. Do you see evidence of liquid having been there in the recent past? And look specifically at the gloves, at the fingers of the glove.
Something was here. And the reason I can confirm that is if you notice the grain of the leather has shrunken somewhat compared to the other gloves that have been shown that are new. And that's what really happened when the shrinkage occurred. The grain has been pulled up somewhat.
All right.
And if you notice, there's a little more shrinkage in the fingers than maybe down here.
All right. Something was there, but you can't tell us what that something was, can you?
I cannot.
In fact, you don't see any spots or anything on the fingers of this glove, do you?
Overruled.
I do not see anything, any spots from here up.
All right, but from here
Indicating
up,
from the fingers up.
yes, from the fingers, he's talking about
Yes.
midway, I guess, the glove.
Right.
Your Honor. Now, if you turn it over, you find pretty much the same thing on the other side. Is that correct, sir?
That's correct.
In that area, you don't see any spots, you don't see any real discoloration, do you?
I do not.
All right. Now, however, with regard to this glove, it is possible, is it not, to find some spots or some discoloration in the area near the
vent.
the vent. Isn't that correct?
Overruled.
That's possible. Visually, you can do that, can't you?
I can see spots.
All right. And in comparing and looking at the two items, and I'll be glad to bring back the right glove for you, there appear to be more spots and more residue on the right glove than on the left glove. Isn't that correct?
I'd like to see it back.
You may, but it's, what he sees on the glove, I don't think, unless it goes to the issue of shrinkage directly,
Yeah. Ask a question.
you may.
I'm going to place before you the right glove, and I guess you should change it. Place the gloves again.
At this point, does anybody anticipate testing these gloves any further?
We got everything we need.
All right.
Is the answer no, Your Honor?
The answer is no.
Move to strike his other remark.
But Mr. Rubin, just for your own safety, why don't you use gloves?
Okay.
And Mr. Cochran, would you keep in mind that you're shielding out?
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, just that's, and I'll move back to my position. With regard to this glove, the alleged right glove, which was LAPD number 9, I don't know the exhibit number, Your Honor. Does this glove appear to have more of a substance on the leather
Yes, it does.
than the left glove? That's obvious. Is that not?
Very much so.
And with regard to those two gloves, would you expect that the glove on the right, that seems to have more residue of some sort of a liquid, would have shrunk more than the glove on the left, the glove found allegedly at Bundy?
Or will?
Yes, I would.
You would expect that. All right. Now, with regard to the left glove, do you see any cuts on the left glove, specifically in the area of this middle finger here? Do you see any cuts?
I
on
do
the left
not.
glove? Huh?
I do not.
And you've had occasion to look on the outside and the inside, have you not?
Yes, I have.
And you saw no cuts, right?
Correct.
All right. Now let's turn over the right glove again if we can. This, in the palm of the right glove here, it appears to have, are those wear marks? I think we talked about that before.
I can't determine that.
You can't tell whether that was just worn as opposed to anything else? Does this right glove seem to be more worn, though, as you look at it?
It definitely seems to be more worn
Than
than
the left glove? All right. And these are, it's possible these are wear spots on this glove. Isn't that correct as an expert?
Or will?
While it's definitely possible, and we definitely have confirmed that this is a pair, I'm actually somewhat surprised that this glove is worn to this level and this one isn't.
All right. And so it appears that the right glove is worn a lot more than the left glove, right?
It appears that way.
Now, you were asked a couple of questions, sir, about people and their buying habits regarding gloves. People don't generally buy gloves that don't fit, do they?
Objection, that's paid.
Or will?
Men generally do not buy gloves.
All right, well, so is that answering my question? Let's
Well,
see.
80% of the gloves.
Let me ask you another question. Men don't generally buy gloves,
They do not.
all right? And, but if men, I guess men do buy gloves sometimes. And if they buy gloves, they generally buy gloves that fit, don't they?
Correct.
Because that's as a former salesperson, that's the salesperson's job to get the person. You have no knowledge of the condition of those two gloves before you, items 9 and 37, on June 12, 1994, do you?
I think that's the third time I've heard this question this morning.
You may have had this is foundation.
This is the third time I'd like to object to it.
Sustained.
It was foundation, but with regard to, you have no knowledge of at what point the items before you were shrunk, if they were shrunk at any time.
Objection.
Or will. Question.
I do not.
And when you talked to Mr. Darden on all these occasions, did he show you some charts that had been drawn by the LAPD back on June 21st, 1994, with the actual measurements of those two gloves there before you?
Yes, he did.
And so you saw that those, from those charts, that the actual fingers had actually been measured back on June 21st, right?
That's correct.
And how long did you get to have occasion to study those particular charts that he gave you?
Just a moment.
All right, anything else, counsel?
May I have just a second here?
Mr. Darden?
Just a few, Your Honor. Mr. Rubin, you testified a moment ago that there's more substance on the right glove?
That's correct.
Okay, that would be item 9, the Rockingham glove? For the record, Your Honor.
The right glove.
Okay.
That's correct.
And the fact that there's more substance on the Rockingham glove, is that consistent then with that glove having been?
Overruled. So far.
Is that consistent with that glove having been saturated with more liquid than the left glove?
Overruled.
I'm not 100% sure I understand the question. You want me to tell you that
Overruled. He can ask clarification.
you want me to tell you what the effect of the excessive substance on the right glove did to the glove in comparison to the left glove?
No. All I want to know is this. Is there more substance on the right glove?
Yes, there is.
Does that mean that the right glove absorbed more substance than the left glove?
Sustained.
Do you know? Can you tell us whether or not the right glove absorbed more substance than the other? He asked the same question.
It appears that way.
Now, you're not, we'll strike that. You didn't watch the coroner's testimony in this case, did you?
No, I did not.
So you don't know which hand he says the killer used to.
Sustained.
You also told us that there is no cut on a finger on the left glove,
That's correct.
and that would be the Bundy glove, Your Honor?
Yes.
Now, are you aware that that glove was found at the scene at Bundy?
Overruled.
I am since I arrived here.
Okay. You also indicated that the right-handed glove had more wear and tear on it, apparently.
Most definitely.
Okay. That is than the left glove?
Excuse me?
It has more wear and tear than the left glove?
Definitely.
Okay. And having that information, does that indicate to you, or give you any indication as to whether or not the person who owned those gloves was right-handed or left-handed?
I can't determine that.
You also told us that women usually buy gloves.
That's correct.
They usually buy men's gloves.
That's correct.
Do they usually get the right size?
Sustained.
Does it happen that women, when they buy gloves for their men, don't get the right size?
Sustained. I don't think we need a glove expert to tell us about shopping.
Okay. I have 2 diagrams, Your Honor. May they be marked 402A and B?
All right, 402A and B. Yes,
May the record reflect that I've indicated 402A and B in the upper right-hand corner.
noted. And would you show those to Mr. Cochran, please? Show them, Mr. Cochran, please.
Showing you what is remarked 402A and B. Are these the 2 diagrams you saw in my office?
Yes, they are.
Those diagrams indicate the amount of shrinkage to the Rockingham and Bundy gloves. Is that correct?
Sustained. Rephrase the question.
Okay. Do you know what those do you know what is depicted on those documents?
Excuse me?
Sustained.
Well, throw them on the Alamo then. Gonna throw it on the Alamo?
Counsel, let me see it sidebar. With the report. Thank you, counsel. Proceed.
Oh, I have nothing further,
All right.
Your Honor.
Mr. Cochran? Certainly. One.
Mr. Rubin, with regard to the Eris light gloves there that are supposed to be a snug fit,
Overruled.
it's very difficult, is it not, to get a snug-fitting pair of those Eris light gloves off of one's hands once they're fitted on your hands. Isn't that correct?
Objection, Your Honor. The jury saw the demonstration.
Overruled. You can tell us about what it was designed to do.
These gloves, as well as most fine dress gloves, come off easiest when the hand is extended and the thumb is tucked in toward the hand to make the glove slide off easier. Any movement of the thumb upwards would restrict going on or off, obviously, and then any cupping of the fingers would restrict the glove coming off easily.
Thank you very kindly.
All right, Mr. Rubin. Thank you, sir. All right, you are excused.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, when we scheduled the testimony for today, it was my anticipation that we would just have a short session this morning, and I made plans to take my staff out to lunch. I'm sure you will not be surprised to learn that Mrs. Robertson has been voted the Superior Court Employee of the Quarter. I'm sure that comes as no surprise to you. And also, one of our court reporters, today is her birthday. And so we were going to go out to lunch. I would like to finish the next two quick witnesses so we can go out and do that. But anybody need to take a comfort break? We'll do that right now. Okay, let's take a 5-minute comfort break. We'll finish the two witnesses. All right. Of our jury members, and people may call their next witness.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Let me thank the court and ladies and gentlemen of the jury for allowing us to go through the noon hour. People call Ms. Llewellyn Roberts.
All right, Ms. Roberts, come forward, please. Please raise your right hand, face the clerk.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the cause now coming before this court should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please have a seat and witness stand and state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Llewellyn Robertson,
And would you spell that for us, please?
L-U-E-L-L-E-N, last name R-O-B-E-R-T-S-O-N.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Ms. Clark.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Robertson, can you please tell us what you do for a living?
I am one of the custodian of records for AirTouch Cellular.
And what is AirTouch Cellular?
We are a provider of cellular services.
And when you say cellular services, is that a phone company of some kind?
Yes, mobile phone cellular service.
Does that company service telephones that are completely portable only, or does it also service telephones that are fixed in a car?
3 different types of phones: portable, completely portable, transportable, and also installed in the car.
What do you mean by transportable?
It can be either plugged into the car, or you can take it with you, hang it over your shoulder.
And you service all 3 kinds.
Yes.
Is there any way that you can tell by looking at someone's phone bill, whether the phone is portable completely, that is, you just take it anywhere and use it, or transportable, that means plugged into a car or taken out of the car or fixed in the car?
On the phone bill, no.
Is there some other record you have that does indicate that?
The manufacturer can usually tell.
But your company can't tell that.
No.
Can you tell us, or ma'am, what are your duties?
Mainly, my main duties are to respond to court orders and search warrants, subpoenas, any kind of requests for customer information.
Now, do you have some expertise in the interpretation of the phone records that your company generates?
Yes, I am familiar with the billing that our company generates.
And the records that are generated, that is internally in your company, as well as the bills that go out to customers, are those records that are maintained and kept in the normal course of business?
Yes.
And are they filled out in the normal course of business at or near the time of the call being made?
Yes.
We have a chart. That's all right. People's next in order, Your Honor. People's 404, would that be?
403.
403, thank you.
All right, and this is a chart.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. It is a chart entitled Defendant's Cell Phone Calls for the night of June the 12th, 1994, and it bears an enlargement of one page of the phone bill for the defendant. If I may, Your Honor, I'm going to ask to put it, located centrally to the jury so they can see it.
Yes.
Mr. Escobar is assisting me.
Noted. Thank you.
Have you been able to see this, Ms. Robertson?
Yes.
Now, the board that is now in front of the jury, what does it depict?
Well, I personally can't see it right now.
One step down, look.
But I have a copy of what you've got there.
Okay, why don't you take the copy you have and step down and look at the chart and tell us if the chart shows an accurate and true copy of the record that your company generates.
Yes.
Go ahead, you can have a seat now.
Ms. Clark.
Thank you, Rana. Now, Ms. Robertson, let me ask you a couple of preliminary questions. First of all, what is the record on this chart marked 403?
This is a copy of the 12th page for the billing date June 15th, 1994, for mobile phone number 310-613-3232.
And to whom is that number registered?
Our records indicate that the account was assigned to O.J. Simpson.
And with respect to the date of June the 12th, well, let me ask you more generally. On your phone bills, including the one now marked as People's 403, is there certain information generated concerning the nature of each call made?
Each call is registered on the billing statement with the date of the call, the time, the location to which the call was made or what type of call it was, the number that was dialed. any features involved with that call, such as call forwarding, the duration of the call, what we charge, and some summary information also.
All right. I'm going to go through the bill that's now in front of the jury, and I'm going to ask you, with respect to certain entries for this phone bill for the defendant, what each of the entries means. I'm going to take as my first example, there's a phone call on June the 12th at, and that seems, it's under the date.
Yes.
Now, do these bills register every phone call made from the cellular phone?
Some calls never make it to the bill.
For the purpose of privacy of some of the numbers, we're going to make sure that all of these numbers have been changed. I believe they have.
Ms. Clark.
Thank you, Ron. All right, so every call is not registered on the bill?
Some calls never even make it into the cellular system because of one reason or another, and so they never get processed and end up on the billing statement.
How does that happen?
What we call call blocking. Maybe there's too many calls taking place near a certain cell site, and it may not make it. You get a fast, busy signal.
If the cell site is busy?
Yes.
Okay. But when the actual phone, when the phone being called, let me make this clear. When the cell phone is used to place a call, the number is dialed and the phone rings, will it then register on the bill?
Yes.
Now, with respect to June the 12th, after that there is a column entitled time. Does that reflect the time at which the call was made?
Yes.
Is that accurate?
To the best of our knowledge, it's accurate.
And how does that time register? Is there a computer or something that registers that?
There's a timer in our switching equipment that is set, and that's the time that's recorded when the call's made.
There's a call indicated here at 2:18 p.m., and then the next column says to from location.
Yes.
And what does that mean?
This was a call that was placed to a number that is listed in the West Los Angeles Exchange.
So does that indicate the location to which the call is made?
Yes.
And then after that it says number, and what does that indicate?
Indicates the number dialed.
And at 2:18 p.m. on June the 12th, the number 310-826-0403 was called.
That's correct.
After that, there's a column that is indicated as FEAT, F-E-A-T.
Yes.
And what is that?
It's short for feature.
What does that mean?
It could include a feature, maybe call forwarding or call waiting or three-way calling, just a feature that might have been used with that call.
In the instance of the call placed to 826-0403, there is no feature listed, correct?
That's correct.
Which means what?
Person-to-person call, no call forwarding, it's an outgoing call. There were no other parties involved in this call. It was just from the cellular phone to that number.
Now, after that, there's a column that says minutes, and in that column, for that call, it indicates 4 minutes.
That's correct.
Now, first of all, this is the bill that is sent to the customer, correct?
That's correct.
And the column that shows minutes shows 4 minutes on this bill, correct?
Correct.
Is that the actual duration of the call?
It may not be.
And why is that?
We round, AirTouch Cellular in their billing process rounds up to the next minute. So if you had a call that lasted for, say, 3.5 minutes, we would charge for 4 minutes.
And what is the actual duration of that? Well, do you maintain records that show the actual duration of the phone call?
We have other records that show the actual duration, yes.
And do you have those records with you?
Yes.
Are those records kept in the normal course of business?
We keep them as a reference. They are not billing records,
I
but they're
understand that.
backup.
But are they kept in the normal course of your business?
Yes.
And are they prepared at or near the time that the call is made?
Yes.
Under employees, under a duty to do so?
Yes.
And can you tell us what the actual duration of the call to 826-0403 was on June the 12th?
At 2:18 p.m. The call was for 3 minutes and 9 seconds.
Counsel, I believe we've already marked the phone records that belong to, marked and introduced the phone records belonging to Nicole Brown that indicate her phone number is 310-826-0403. I'll have them pulled for counsel. With respect to the bottom two numbers that are highlighted on this chart, they indicate for the date of June the 12th,
Yes.
and the time 10:03 p.m. Would that be an accurate time for those phone calls to have been made from this cellular phone?
Yes.
I'm going to back up for a moment and ask you to interpret a couple of other entries here. After the 218 phone call to 826-0403, Nicole Brown's number, we have 2 more phone calls made at 2:22.
That's correct.
To Nicole Brown at 2:18. Does the time registered at 2:22 for those 2 incomplete calls appear to have come immediately thereafter?
Yes, immediately thereafter.
Counsel, may it be stipulated that the phone numbers registered under these 2 incomplete calls at 2:22, that is 305-582-6952, is the phone number in Florida for Paula Barbieri, was on the date of June the 12th.
Was so stipulated, was.
And may it also be stipulated, counsel, that the phone call indicated at 2:23 to West Los Angeles at 310-470-3468 was the West Los Angeles phone number for Paula Barbieri as of June the 12th, 1994.
So stipulated, Your Honor, was.
Yes. Thank you kindly, counsel. With respect to the incompletes noted at 2:22 for the 305 number for Paula Barbieri on June the 12th, can you indicate to us what that means?
This means that at 2:22 p.m., there were 2 calls placed within that minute time frame to area code 305-582-6952, which were incomplete calls, meaning that the call was never picked up at the other end. Either there was no answer or it was a busy.
You indicate on the phone bill here for those 2 calls 1 minute each.
That's correct.
Do you have an actual duration for those calls in your records?
Yes.
Can you tell us what they were?
For the first call, the duration was 46 seconds. The second call for 13 seconds.
Now moving down to 2:23, is that an accurate time for the call on June the 12th to Paula Barbieri's West Los Angeles number
Yes,
at 470-3468?
that's correct.
So that was placed at 2:23.
Correct.
It indicates the duration of time to be 2 minutes for that call.
That's correct.
What is the actual duration for that call that you have listed in your records?
1 minute and 27 seconds.
And following that entry on June the 12th, there is an entry at 2:24. Is that an accurate time for that phone call, ma'am?
Yes,
it's indicated as incomplete for the phone number of Paula Barbieri in Florida. Again, that's because the call did not go through?
That's what it says, yes,
I mean,
it's
it was not picked
incomplete.
up.
Right, correct,
And that could be, as you've indicated, because it was busy or just not answered?
correct.
And the duration of that call is indicated here as being 2 minutes as well.
Correct.
Could you tell us what is the actual duration of that phone call?
1 minute and 30 seconds.
And just below that, at 2:24 on June the 12th, is that the accurate time for that phone call?
The call below the 224 call?
No, the 2:24 call. Is that an accurate time for that next phone call?
Yes,
Given the actual duration of the call just before it to Paula Barbieri's West Los Angeles number, would this call have been placed immediately thereafter?
yes,
And this call is to 305-582-6952, Paula Barbieri's number in Florida?
yes.
And what does that indicate with respect to whether or not the call was picked up by anyone on the other side?
It could mean anything, whether it let it ring, he let it ring, or whoever was using the phone let it ring for 1 minute and 27, 1 minute and 30 seconds.
And so that call at 2:24 to Paula Barbieri's number in Florida was incomplete as well?
That's correct.
And the duration was, I'm sorry,
2 minutes.
on the phone bill?
Oh, the actual duration. 1 minute and 30 seconds.
And so we have 4 calls to Paula Barbieri immediately after the call to Nicole Brown at 826-0403.
4 calls in total that day, yes.
Now, right after that 2:24 entry in the afternoon of June the 12th, we have an entry here at 6:56 p.m. that says message MGR.
Yes.
What's message MGR?
It's a voicemail system for your cellular phone number.
And what is that?
You can leave a recording that says, "I'm away from my phone. Please leave a message. I'll call you back." So what this means is that someone attempted to call this mobile number, 310-613-3232, and the call was forwarded to the message manager.
So that message manager there at 6:56 is an incoming call to the mobile phone?
Yes,
And that call, under feature, you have CF.
right.
What does that mean?
It means that no one picked up the cellular phone or answered the cellular phone, so the call was forwarded to the voicemail system.
So this, the defendant's cell phone received a call at 6:56 p.m., which was not picked up by him. It was picked up by the message manager.
That's correct.
And you have a duration of the call, that incoming call at 6:56 p.m. as 5 minutes on the bill.
Yes.
Do you have the actual duration for that?
I do not. That is not here on this record.
And on June 12th again, at 8:55 p.m., you have message manager.
That's correct.
And again, that's an incoming call.
Yes,
And you have CF under the feature indicating again that the voicemail picked up that call
yes,
because the cell phone was not answered.
that's correct.
All right, now after 8:55 p.m., on June the 12th at 10:03 p.m., we have a call. Is that an accurate time, ma'am?
Yes,
A call to West Los Angeles, to Paula Barbieri's West Los Angeles number, indicates the duration to be 1 minute.
that's correct.
What is the actual duration of that phone call according to your records?
33 seconds.
And then there is a second call. It's registered here at being 10:03 p.m. as well.
That's correct.
Okay, so the second call immediately following that first call?
Yes,
This one indicates what with respect to, under the title of to and from location?
That it was an incomplete call.
Again, for the same reason stated before?
Yes.
And this to Paula Barbieri's Florida number at 582-6952?
Yes.
And the duration shows 1 minute on the bill. Can you tell us what the actual duration of that phone call was?
23 seconds.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Several questions. Good morning, Ms. Robertson. How are you?
Good morning or good afternoon.
With regard to these records that you've gone through with Ms. Clark, let's take, for instance, the incomplete phone call on June 12th at about 2:13 p.m. in the afternoon. If
Okay.
one, first of all, in calling the 305 582-6952 number, that number, you could call that particular number, and the person who has that 305 number, if it is a portable phone, could be in California. Isn't that correct? Or any place in the United States. Is that right?
They could be.
All right. So the question would be is whether or not the 305 number was a portable phone. Is that a correct statement?
Yes.
All right. Now, with regard to shifting to the two phone calls that were in rapid succession at about 2:22, that are both labeled incomplete on the People's Exhibit here for identification, with the number 305-582-6952 were called for approximately 1 minute. In that instance, it would have been possible to a person in a vehicle to make that call, for the phone to disconnect. Perhaps you went into an area where there were no cells or whatever, and if you lost contact, turn around and call right back again. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
In fact, if you have a car phone, you know that's a matter that happens very frequently, doesn't it?
Yes.
That you will be driving along, you'll have a number, for some reason because the cells or something happens, you'll lose contact with the person you're trying to call or whatever, you have to then dial back. Isn't that correct?
That's considered a dropped call.
All right. And that would also show in here as an incomplete, would it not?
Actually, it would show up as a completed call, but it would have a star next to it that showed that it was dropped.
All right. But drop. But as an incomplete call, if you were making a call to the 305 number,
Yes.
and as you got through the call, all of a sudden you lost contact, and you then dialed it again, that would be consistent with the two incompletes if you weren't able to complete the call. Is that correct? You made them in succession?
Yes.
All right. And in fact, on this particular date, you alluded to the fact there were, I think you said 4 calls made to the 305 number,
In total,
all
yes.
told. And each of those 305 calls were all incomplete. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that meant that the caller was not able to reach whoever the person was at the 305 number. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. With regard to the call at 218, that was a completed call. Is that correct?
Correct.
And on the record here, it shows that call lasted approximately 4 minutes. And what was the exact time of that call in front of your records?
3 minutes and 9 seconds.
And again, you just rounded it up on the bill. You rounded up to like 4 minutes.
That's what our billing system does, yes.
Okay. And that was a completed call
Yes,
at 218.
Correct.
And you don't have or don't show any other calls to the number 826-0403, an area code 310, after 2:18 p.m. in the afternoon on June 12th, do you?
no, sir.
That's the only call your records reveal on that date, is that correct?
Correct.
And you're aware that number was registered to Ms. Nicole Brown Simpson on that date?
I am now,
All right, you're aware of it today, right?
yes.
And you show no other calls? And you show no other calls to that location that day, do you?
No, I do not.
All right. And then lastly, ma'am, with regard to the two calls at 10:03, on the people's chart here, it's shown that these calls both occurred at about 10:03. Is that what your records show?
Yes, sir.
And that would indicate to you these calls are made again in succession, is that correct?
Yes,
And with regard to the first call, the one to the 470-3468 number, was that a completed call?
yes.
Was that a message left, or did the parties talk, or what happened, you know?
There's no way of indicating that here.
So there was some kind of a completed call,
Yes,
or something picked up that phone, is that correct?
yes.
All right. What if that 305 phone, what if the 310 number had some kind of an answering machine? Would that show as a completed call?
Yes,
So if you dial that would show as a completed call, even though it's 1 minute, is that correct?
yes.
And so we're clear, how long was the 612-1003 call to West Los Angeles that your records show 1 minute? How long was that call in duration?
33 seconds.
And then there was a call right after that to the 305 location, and that was, you have that marked incomplete.
Correct.
And how long was that?
23 seconds.
So there was only a 10-minute difference between the so-called completed call and the incomplete call? Correct, that counts as correct. There's only a 10-second difference between the so-called completed call and the incomplete call?
That's about right, plus or minus a couple seconds.
Yeah. One was 33 seconds, one was 23 seconds?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, just one last second. With regard, just one or two last questions. So that I'm clear. With regard to the 1003 call on 612 to the 310 number, the bill that you see there in the 33-second actual time, would that be consistent with the call being placed to an answering machine and the caller completed a message or whatever to that answering machine?
It could be.
All right. And then the later call, the call directly after that, which is marked incomplete, to the 305 exchange, would that be consistent with the call that was not complete? Is that correct?
Not complete, yes.
And if that 305 number was a portable number, that person could be in Las Vegas or in Los Angeles or any place. Is that correct?
They could be anywhere.
All right. You can't tell that from your records?
We cannot.
Now, you mentioned something about a manufacturer and telling where calls were made from. Do you have those records with you? You don't have those records, do you?
I think she testified that the manufacturer could tell what kind of phone it is.
All right, and is the court correct?
That's my understanding.
All right, and you don't have any records from any manufacturers? That's
No,
my
sir.
question. All right, thank you very kindly. Thank you, Your Honor.
No further questions.
All right, Ms. Robertson, thank you very much. You are now excused. All right, next witness.
Let me offer to stipulate, I believe counsel has agreed, I will stipulate that as of June the 12th, Nicole Brown's phone number was 310-826-0403.
All right, ladies.
And we also have a stipulation regarding the other two members.
I thought we already did. You want to do it again? Did we already do it? Shall we do it again?
All right, why don't you take the exhibit down? Ms. Robertson, you can leave. Thank you. Take the exhibit down.
Yes, you want me to do the stipulation?
Yes. Say it over.
I just need to look at the board while I'm doing it, Your Honor.
All right.
Counsel, may it be stipulated that as of June the 12th, 1994, the phone number 310-470-3468 belonged to Paula Barbieri, and that as of June the 12th, 1994, the phone number 305-582-6952 also belonged to Paula Barbieri, but in Florida.
Well, yes. Just hold a second.
Do it one more time. With respect to the phone number 305-582-6952, that was also a phone number registered to Paula Barbieri as of June the 12th, 1994.
So stipulated.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I instructed you yesterday, a stipulation is an agreement between the attorneys as to the facts that the stipulation relates to. You are to assume those facts to be true for the purpose of this trial. Next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. People call Ms. Kathleen Delaney.
All right, is she available immediately outside?
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Is she immediately outside? All right, good afternoon, Ms. Delaney. Would you please raise your right hand and face the clerk, please?
You do solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the cause now pending before this court should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat in the witness stand and state and spell your first and last names for the record.
Kathleen Delaney, KathleenDelaney.
Ms. Clark.
Thank you. Ms. Delaney, can you please tell us what you do for a living?
Yes, I'm an attorney for the Mirage Casino Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada.
And as such, what are your specific duties?
Part of my duties include custodian of records for the hotel.
And in your capacity as custodian of records, are you familiar with the records maintained by the hotel and the manner in which they are prepared?
Yes, I am.
Did you bring with you some records reflecting whether someone by the name of Paula Barbieri checked into the Mirage Hotel on or about June the 12th, 1994?
I did.
Can you please retrieve the records that are relevant to this determination? For the record, Your Honor, counsel has received a copy of all records, and I only intend to mark those relevant.
All right.
You have, I see in front of you a record that appears to be a computer printout.
That's correct.
Yes, you may.
And underneath that, I see that you have another record. Is that a duplicate?
That is a duplicate, yes.
That appears to have writing on it?
Yes, that would be my writing.
Your writing. All right. information relevant to other parties who would probably not appreciate the publicity. Okay. Oh, no. With respect to this record, Your Honor, I ask that it be marked People's 404.
People's 404.
All right, it's showing on the screen right now, ma'am. And if you need to refer to your copy with the notes on it, please do so.
Okay, that would probably be easier.
Now, first of all, can you tell us whether or not this record is a record that is generated by the Mirage Hotel in the normal course of business?
It is.
And is it compiled by employees under a duty to do so?
Yes, it is.
And is it also compiled at or near the time of the event? That is, the check-in or the information is entered with respect to a party checking into the hotel?
Yes.
Can you tell us, ma'am, what is shown in terms of information concerning the check-in of Paula Barbieri to the Mirage Hotel on this form?
This particular screen is actually the reservations division, the reservations listing by name, which is one section or one division of our computer system. And with regard to this form, what it shows is that a reservation was made for the name Paula Barbieri. The reservation was made on June 11th, 1994, and then it contains information regarding how that reservation was guaranteed.
All right, if I may, Your Honor, I'd like to highlight the areas the witness is talking about, since there are so many numbers on this. All right, now, with respect to the name, I'm going to highlight, you tell me if I'm doing the right thing.
That's
Where I'm
correct.
about to highlight, that's the name of the customer?
That's correct.
Or the name to whom the room will be registered?
That's correct.
Is there an indication on this form as well when the reservation was made?
Yes, that would be if you follow the line where the name appears all the way across, you will see a date portion, and it'll say 6/11/94. There are no slashes dividing that date, but you should see that.
And would that be right there?
That's correct, and you can see above it on the report where it indicates that's the date column.
I see. And that would be right here?
That's correct.
And I've highlighted
There
those.
should be a monitor right
I'm
there.
sorry,
There you
okay.
go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's easier.
And for the record, I've highlighted where the witness has guided me to. I guess the exhibit will be the best evidence of that. Now, with respect to, then it was, that room was reserved for Paula Barbieri on June the 11th, 1994.
That's correct.
And there's an indication, I'm going to move it to the middle. It shows Petite Plan A. What's that?
That is one line that we have to give detailed information which the reservation clerk might feel is important regarding that reservation. Any information that can't fit on that line would then scroll on over to the comment screens, which would appear on the checkout sheets. So this would have detailed information regarding the reservation that we would have been given at the time the reservation was made.
What does petite mean?
Petite would be one of our room types. It's a petite suite.
And then it says, attention Dorothy.
Yes, actually, directly after petite, it says Plan A. That's the rate plan at which the room was reserved and then rented at. The attention Dorothy is the designation. The reservation clerk always indicates the name of the travel agent, if there is one, who made the reservation. So that would be Dorothy, the travel agent, and just above her name, you will see the name Teasel Travel. That would be the company that Dorothy works for.
And I see below Teasel Travel, it says CC holder Michael, and then it goes down to Bolton.
Well, what this record does is on this line it says CC means credit card holder, Michael, and then again, we only have the one line within this division, this reservations division of our records. Any comments, we have unlimited comment space. It would scroll down to the remainder comment screens, which would be in the checkout division. And the name Bolton does appear on that particular record.
For the record, I've highlighted where it says CC holder Michael, and then I'm going to highlight Bolton on the line below. Have I done so correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
And what does that indicate?
That would indicate that per Dorothy with Teasdale Travel, who spoke to our room reservations clerk, that reservation was guaranteed by Michael Bolton, and there's a credit card number that would pertain to that reservation.
You aware who Michael Bolton is?
I know of a singer named Michael Bolton.
Was he performing in Las Vegas at that time, to the best of your knowledge?
I am not aware if he was performing, but I am aware that he was staying at the hotel
At
during
Mirage
that time. Mhm.
On, as of what, June the 11th or June the 12th?
As of June the 12th.
Now, over to the side where, the left-hand side of the page, as you face it, where it says comment, I see 6/11/94 and 15:55. Can you tell us what that means?
That would be the time that the reservation was taken. And I might indicate you're showing a person's name there on the...
Just realize that. I'm going to try and, I'm going to cover that up right now with
Okay.
my fingers and ask that Mr. Cuervo hide that information. And I'm going to just highlight that. 15:55, I'm going to take this down now. But 15:55 on June the 11th indicates,
when the reservation was received.
and 15:55 is military time, is it?
That's correct.
For what?
3:55.
I'm going to ask that Mr. Fairglow be allowed to black out the name that goes to another customer.
It actually might be more accurate to say that that would be the time that the information was inputted into the system.
And would the information then have been given at or near the time of that input?
Absolutely immediately after.
So it would have been very near, almost, so the time of 3:55 on June the 11th would have been within minutes after having received the information, that is the reservation for Paula Barbieri?
The reservation clerk would have a headset, would be receiving the information, and would be inputting it into the computer as it's being received. But, you know, in terms of all of the information that's contained here, some may be inputted after the call is terminated, but it would all be contemporaneous.
Now, can you tell us if you have records reflecting exactly when Paula Barbieri checked into the Mirage Hotel in Las Vegas?
Yes, I have another document, which would be a guest registration card, which was provided, and that would indicate the time of check-in.
I may see it. Okay, I'm going to show it.
We also have in our checkout screen an indication of the arrival and departure times, and they correspond.
And is that a separate record that you're referring to, ma'am?
That's correct.
Can you show us which one that is?
Yes, that would be.
All right, now the record you've just shown myself and counsel appears to have a cutoff.
That's all right.
Sorry. Okay, with respect to the first bill that I've just shown to Mr. Cochran, there appears to be a signature at the bottom,
That's correct.
and it's a little bit cut off. Can you tell us what happened to the lower right-hand corner?
It appears to be partially obscured. It would be a flaw in the process of putting it onto the microfiche. All of these records are maintained, kept and maintained on microfiche, and there would have been a flaw.
Now, there does appear to be a signature there.
Yes.
Does it appear to be most of the name Paula Barbieri?
I see the name Paula, and I see the last name Barbie.
That's and then it cuts off.
And then it cuts off.
Is there, however, also her printed name on this form?
Yes, directly to the left of the signature and address block.
And does it reflect on this form what time she checked in?
Yes, it's just above and to the left of the name and address block, and it indicates 13:59 military time or 1:59.
So at
PM.
at 1:59 on June the 12th, she checked into the Mirage Hotel
That's correct.
pursuant to the reservation by Michael Bolton made the day before.
Correct.
Now, there appears to be a partial address underneath her signature.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to block that out, but I would like to allow the ladies and gentlemen of the jury to see this record with, Council, I'm blocking out the address, Your Honor. I blocked it out, and we're also going to put the piece of paper over it. Thank you, John. All right, then, on this bill, it indicates, now, once again, is this a record prepared by the Mirage Hotel in the normal course of business?
Yes, it is.
And is this record prepared by an employee under a duty to prepare such records?
That's correct.
And is it also prepared at or near the time of the event, that is, of the check-in of the person that is indicated on the form?
Yes.
And can you tell us where on this form it's indicated what date Ms. Barbieri checked in?
There is a box on the top line that has a heading Arrival, and it indicates 6/12/94.
I'm going to remove this for a moment, Your Honor. We have a credit card number indicated on it.
All right, counsel, can we speed this up? I mean, is the issue the check-in and the check-out times?
Yes, Your Honor, almost done.
All right.
Okay, for the record, I've highlighted the date and time of arrival of June the 12th at 1:59 p.m., and I'm going to ask to leave this record with Mr. Fairglow so that he can block out the identifying information. And is there an indication as to when she checked out? Do you have a record for that?
Yes, again, a screen I mentioned a moment ago, the third of the 3 division screens in our tandem system is considered a checkout listing by name. We have that record, and that not only shows the arrival time, it shows the checkout, and it contains various other information, including all comments made during that particular guest's stay.
And what record is that?
I would call it checkout listing by name. It's a checkout division printing, computer printing. And I handed it to you a moment ago. You should have it. It has other people's names on it again, as did the prior document. Ms. Barbieri's information is towards the bottom of that document.
All right, I'm folding it down now so that I can reveal just the information pertaining to Ms. Barbieri.
There is one additional name below Ms. Barbieri, which you might want to block out.
Do that as well. I'm just going to fold it. And that last record, Your Honor, I asked that if you mark people's.
405.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have the record referred to by the witness. I'd like it to mark Peoples 406. If I may.
Thought we just marked it. But proceed.
This is another record.
All right, proceed.
Is this the folded version of the record you just referred to, ma'am?
Yes, it is.
And again, with respect to its preparation, is this prepared in the normal course of business, the Mirage Hotel,
Yes,
by people under a duty to do so?
yes,
At or near the time of the events that are reflected in that document?
yes.
And does this document reflect when Ms. Barbieri checked out?
It does. As a matter of fact, you've partially folded, I believe, or maybe you just caught that. It should be at the very top on the right-hand side of the screen, arrive, and then it has a 6/12/94, 13:59. Then just below it, depart, 6/15/94 at 13:46.
All right.
military
We are
term.
zooming in on that now.
The times are to the right, yes.
And I'm going to highlight that for the record. So it reflects that Ms. Barbieri checked in at 1:59 p.m. on June the 12th and checked out at 6:15. I'm going to take it. And she checked out on June 15th at 1:46 p.m.
Correct.
All right, anything else?
Nothing further.
Mr. Cochran?
Good afternoon, counsel.
Afternoon.
With regard to the records we've just seen, are you aware that on that particular weekend, Michael Bolton was hosting a celebrity softball game in Las Vegas on Sunday, June 12th?
I'm not aware of that in particular. I remember the event
Right.
taking place at some point in time.
And you knew it was on that particular date, on or about June 12th?
I'm not aware of what date it was.
But you, from checking your records as a custodian of records, you were aware that he had maintained and brought a number of people in and guaranteed their rooms at the Mirage, had he not, during this time frame?
I know that he was staying there personally. I'm not aware of what other reservations might have been made by him or under his name.
You didn't have occasion to check those?
They didn't appear in correlation to Ms. Barbieri's records, and the subpoena was limited to that.
It was limited to just Barbieri, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So there may have been others and other people who were there as his guests, but you weren't asked to look at that, is that correct?
No.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, thank you. And were you aware also that on that Monday, which I guess will be June 13th, that Michael Bolton had a concert at the Thomas and Mack Arena there in Las Vegas, unveiling his new video?
I was not aware of that.
Were you aware of whether or not Paula Barbieri had been in that video, his musical video?
No, I'm not aware
Not
of
aware of
that.
that either?
No.
All right, well, thank you very kindly, nothing further.
Ms. Clark, anything else? All right, thank you very much, counsel. You're excused.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our recess for the day. Let me say one other thing to you, however. When I was commenting to you earlier about the fact that the prosecution anticipates resting perhaps at the end of next week, and I indicated to you that means perhaps we've finished half of the case at this point, I misspoke myself because, as you recollect, the defense has no obligation whatsoever, as I instructed you at the beginning of the case, to present any evidence at all. So at this point, all we're certain is that the prosecution may be concluding their case by the end of next week. All right? I think you recollect my initial instructions regarding the burden of proof. All right, well, as far as the jury is concerned, we will stand in recess until 1:30, and I'll expect counsel here at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning for the hearing. All right, we'll be in recess.